And important to note, Brad has really just said this within the last few moments when we were last talking about the storm. It's difficult to really compare storms in different systems because they're just different.
Yeah, and we're always worried about that from a communication standpoint because for every bad storm you went through, someone went through that same storm and it wasn't as bad for them. And this storm might be the complete reverse. So you always got to be careful to do that because if we say it's going to be like that storm, you go, oh, I made it through that storm fine. It wasn't a big deal. But this one might be completely different. So I just don't want to give that false impression of what's happening. But here's our winter storm. It's off the west coast of California right now, over the water. So there's always uncertainty when we don't have these systems over mainland U.S. where we can collect more data. But the hurricane hunters are helping us out. They're actually flying. What is becoming an increasing thing you do during the winter is they fly winter storm missions. When we have a high impact event that's going to happen and there's something that's, let's say, over the Gulf or over the Atlantic or over the Pacific where we don't have a lot of data, they'll fly a mission to help us get a better forecast so we can plan accordingly. And this will go into tonight's model guidance, which should help us out. Because one of the biggest puzzles I have to solve tonight is not the temperature at the ground, it's the temperature up here around 5,000 feet. We're going to have a warm nose. It's a layer of warm air above our heads. This is how we get freezing rain because it changes everything to rain, but it's still cold down near the ground. If it's very shallow, what happens, those raindrops, they refreeze on the way down and they become pellets. It's like sprinkles on a donut. They just kind of sit there. They don't stick to like power lines and trees like freezing rain does because when that thickness of the warm layer gets pretty thick, it really melts the rain and the cold layer gets shallower, so there's no time for a refreeze. It doesn't freeze until after it's already hit the ground, so it's more like a glaze on a donut, and that causes it stick everywhere. Have you ever seen glaze? It's on everything. So these are the kind of impacts you get from that type of glazing of freezing rain. And again, it doesn't seem like much, but 1/10 of an inch, that causes major issues on the roads, but 1/4 of an inch, that causes significant problems to power lines. 1/2 inch, that's the big one. You get there, extensive damage, adds about 500 to 1,000 pounds of weight to one stretch of power line. So just think of that weight added across a whole stretch of power lines. And this is a big system. This is going to impact a lot of the country. So even if we weren't having this weather here, there would be major travel disruption because all the planes, we live in a spoke and hub airline system where planes at our airport, it don't really matter. It matters where that plane's coming from. And when other airports are impacted, we're impacted as well. So if you're traveling this weekend, I've had that question, I can't even count how many times. There will be issues, delays, cancellations. I can almost guarantee it. Check with your airline. I don't work for the airlines. I just do the weather. So it's hard for me to tell you what the airlines are going to do. But I could tell you that this will be a big impact system for everybody. Now, from travel on cars, the biggest issue will be traveling north and west. South, not as much because track number 1, which was all snow, we kind of knew that wasn't going to happen. Now we know it definitely isn't going to happen. Track number 2 was favored yesterday. That was a mix of everything. That looks less likely, but it's not out of the cards yet either, by the way. Track number 3, solid sleet and ice. That's the big one that we're talking about today and why we're so worried about the potential for not only hazardous travel, but potentially power outages. Snow and sleet. Remember, sleet doesn't pile up as quickly as snow, but it still causes issues. So even if you get a 1/2 inch of sleet, that can cause major travel issues, but it doesn't stick to everything. So timing-wise, I've been kind of going with after lunchtime on Saturday, but it is slowing down just a little bit. So think after 2 p.m. on Saturday. The worst weather is going to be Saturday night and pretty much all day Sunday. But even Monday morning doesn't look great because it's so cold. Everything's going to refreeze. And when we look at these temperatures, I mean, this is kind of the hidden danger of this storm. Behind it, an Arctic blast, it stays cold. So that's why we do not want to see power outages because a lot of folks are going to have to get through 4 or 5 days of just brutally cold weather with no power or heat. That would be disastrous. So hopefully this stays sleet, which is not great for travel, but at least the power will stay on. Here's your Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast. All weekend long, you need to stay weather alert, probably stay home, basically Saturday night through Monday. Not to give you too excited for the kids out there, but I have a sneaky suspicion there will not be a lot of classes on Monday across the area.
All right, Brad, thank you. Of course, we will continue to keep you updated. WCNC Charlotte will be your home for winter weather coverage. In fact, starting at 6 o'clock Saturday night, we have uninterrupted news and weather. And then Sunday will be live all day long. That starts at 5 in the morning.
Our teams will be spread across the area with a look at the storm's impact, what it means for you. We'll be live on air and streaming until the conditions improve. WCNC Charlotte and WCNC Plus.